Hi everyone and welcome back to Evocative Scents. Today's video is going to be very interesting since the summer has already started here and before the sun gets to the full glory, you definitely want some light, airy and refreshing fragrances, especially for the intense summer heat when the temperatures will be climbing over the 40 degrees Celsius mark and you might not necessarily reach out for those heavy dense fragrances, and these light fragrances just might come to the rescue. But that's not the interesting part of this video. What's interesting in this video is that I will stick to a very strict price point. All these fragrances are going to be super affordable. Really affordable. And if you're watching my video for the first time, do consider subscribing to this channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on my new videos. And without any further delay, let's start this video. Starting from the fifth fragrance of this list, it's the Aura Fresh from the House of Armaf. A very simplistic fresh fragrance that is definitely mass appealing in nature, and it's the most expensive fragrance on this list. It comes with a magnetic cap, which is rare to see in this price range. Its opening is a bit like the Versace Mano Fresh, but the dry down is quite a bit different. Its opening is very beautiful with citrusy and fruity accords. It would have been even better if the opening lingered on for a bit longer. Clean and fresh and a bit of aquatic nature to it. In the dry down it becomes slightly bitter, woody in nature and a bit musky as well. And for a super fresh fragrance, the performance is not bad here. You will get around 4 hours of longevity with half an hour of soft projection. You will need to refresh it a few times in a day, but that is expected from a super fresh fragrance, especially in hot and humid environment. I think that this is a perfectly unisex fragrance which slightly leans towards the masculine side. Now let's move on to the fourth fragrance of this list. It is the Amorist from the Paris Corner Pandora Scents. This is the only alternative of the discontinued Bulgari Aqua Amara that I am aware of. Is it super close to the original? No, it isn't, but it is a good fragrance in its own right. But it can be polarizing in nature because it has a slightly synthetic metallic undertone to it. It is an aquatic fragrance along with a strong smell of orange peel in it. It has the bitter orange accords like the Aqua Amara, but it is more of a fresher and lighter take on the original Bulgari Aqua Amara. On the performance front, you are going to get around 3 hours of longevity with around half an hour of projection. If you want something unique and bitter orange like smell, then definitely give this fragrance a try. But do keep in mind that it can be a bit polarizing in nature. Now let's move on to the third fragrance of this list. It's from the House of Maison Alhambra, a sub-brand of Lattafa perfumes. And from the bottle design you might have guessed it. It is inspired from the Giorgio Armani's Acqua di Gio Profumo. A beautiful aquatic fragrance with a hint of spices. The smell feels like a salty sea breeze. I would say this fragrance sits somewhere in between Acqua di Gio Profumo and the original Acqua di Gio. The spiciness and the incense notes are toned down in this fragrance, and that makes it more appropriate for the summer, I guess. If you want a higher quality Acqua di Gio Profumo alternative, I would suggest you to take a look at the Ahmad Al Maghribi Aqua Oud. And in terms of performance aspect, this fragrance does have decent longevity, somewhere around the 5-hour mark. It definitely leans towards the masculine side and definitely a good fragrance to have for the summers. You can wear it for the formal situations or the casual events as well. Very versatile in nature, and for the price you should definitely give this fragrance a try. And moving on to the second fragrance of this list, it is the Fatan Pour Homme from the House of Rasasi. It is inspired from the Terre de Hermes EDT with slight bit of differences here as well. It has a very beautiful bright citrusy opening with noticeably green grass like smell. Personally, I am a big fan of vetiver based fragrances. It reminds me of the Khass that was used in the desert coolers back in the days. It is a wonderful cooling fragrance that is perfect for summers. Though it is around the 1000 rupees mark, it is just for the 50 ml. Technically, this is the most expensive fragrance on this list if we were to consider 100 ml as standard. But this is such a high quality and well blended fragrance that it's totally worth buying. In the performance aspect though, it's not the strongest. Expect around 4 to 5 hours of longevity on clothes with around an hour of projection. It sits a bit closer to the skin, but in terms of smell it is absolutely beautiful. Now let's move on to the final fragrance of this list. It is the Nassim Aqua. This fragrance is inspired from the Bulgari Tiger which is pretty expensive. The retail price is somewhere north of 20,000 Indian rupees. And there are many alternatives available as well. You can consider the Rue Broca or even the Turathi Blue. But I was trying to pick a fragrance that would be super close to the 1000 Indian rupees mark, and sometimes a bit under as well. And despite being a non-alcohol based fragrance, the longevity is pretty good. But the projection is where it takes the hit. It reminds me a bit of Bleu de Chanel, and that might be due to the sandalwood smell that I am getting from this as well. Again, the opening is super fresh. It opens up with a citrusy grapefruit note, and it feels very smooth for the price, and that might be due to the absence of any alcohol in this fragrance. Expect around 5 to 6 hours of longevity on clothes, but the projection is only strong for the first half an hour. Then it will sit slightly closer to you. If you have tried any of these fragrances, what are your thoughts on these? And I will be making another video of intense summer fragrances, but this time at slightly higher price point. And if you like this video, hit that like button. And if you were tuning into this channel for the first time, and if you love fragrances and fragrance related content, do consider subscribing to this channel and hit that notification bell as well, because your support really means a lot to me. So that's it for today's video. I will meet you all in my next video.